Alrighty, folks, it's back. It's time for another new album review, and today we have Bone Church, Deliverance. These guys are out of New Haven, Connecticut, which is quite shocking. Hanging out in the backwoods. So this is their third album. Their debut came out in 2017. Then they had their second album called Acid Communion come out in 2020. And here we get Deliverance in 2025. So you have Jack Rune on vocals, Dan Sefcik on guitar. Those two also write all the lyrics. Nick Firine on guitar, Pat Good on bass, and Rob Sickinger on drums. So your album kicks off with a track called Electric Execution. Immediately you're hit with this Never Say Die type riff, except double timed. The singer, Rune, has a heavy influence of early Scorpion Child in him. There's some Orchid in there. There's even hints of Jay Buchanan. Don't go crazy. I didn't say sounds like Jake Buchanan. I said there's hints of Jay Buchanan in there. Hard charging party tune, heavy chug. Kicks off the album great. I mean, it's not even a 3-minute track, and it's just driving the entire way. Then Lucifer Rising is their next one. Really powerful bass riff kicking off this track. Really solid drum work in here. There's hints of Masters of Reality in this tune, but it's a little more bouncy because there's some Hammond organ hanging out in the background. The Sins of 1,000 Heathens, another bass-driven track. You get a good head bob going on here. The lyrics are really good throughout. I don't pay that much attention to lyrics when I'm first listening to these albums. I don't look at the lyric sheet or any of those things, but even though he's got grit in his voice and he's got a really strong range with his voice, his vocal delivery is such, his singing style is such that you can still pick out a lot of his lyrics. A song closes out some really tasty guitar soloing on here. Then your next track is called Going to Texas. The riff sounds like something ZZ Top might pull out if they were going to play a stoner doom track. Hammond organ is back on this one, adding a nice 70s feel to it. Much more prominent. And I think the Hammond organ, now there are two guys playing the Hammond organ, two different guys playing Hammond organ on this one. I think the influence sounds more like it's coming from the Uriah Heep Hammond organ family. Much more prominent on this track, even getting a little solo. Little Hammond organ solo, tons of groove on this track, even some pseudo slide on there. I don't think it's a real slide. I think they're just mimicking the slide, but it's still a nice guitar effect they got going on. And then keeping up with the Going to Texas, the next track is called Muchachos Muchachin. Another groovy bass intro, joined by some bongos on this one. And the riff even kind of reminds you a little bit of Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed. And then you get the solo in this track, reminds of like the nastiest parts of Johnny Winters and Billy Gibbons. And then, of course, the bongos are ever present in the background. Bone Boys Ride Out, horrible name for a track. But it brings back the Master of Reality feel with the riffs and the drums. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Into the Void. But the vocals in the chorus is pure early era Scorpions Child. And the Hammond organ is back, adding a cool flair to the track. Then your last track is called, it's the title track, Deliverance. The Hammond, the drums, and the guitar kick off the track. Then it slows down to an acoustic style guitar. There's a much more mellow vocal delivery on here. but you can tell that he's got a really strong voice. He still keeps some grit to the voice. Epic style tune with the Rune lamenting for Deliverance, and then the track slows down again about the midway mark, and you know that some Southern Fried Guitars work is coming. The drum pace quickens, the riff quickens, has a little more chug to it, and you get a nice epic guitar outro. It's an 8.5 minute track, but I could have used a little more than just a minute and a half on that guitar outro. It built really nicely. So yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about this album. They're listed as stoner metal / stoner rock. I did read a review where the guy said that he, excuse me, said that he thought that they were adding more of a southern rock flair to this album. It's definitely there. There's elements of doom in here, definitely elements of the southern rock in here. Now I noticed that they were on a compilation called, this is a Ripple Fest release, and they were on a compilation called Ripple Fest Texas that came out in 2021. Pardon me, I'm gonna have to grab a drink of water here. Don't tread on me. Endeavor to persevere. So yeah, Ripple Music is out of California, but they do a lot of work in Texas. So I don't know how much time Bone Church has spent in Texas, but there's, like I said, there's ZZ Top, Scorpion Child, Johnny Winter. You can hear all of that in here, along with the Sabbath and the Thin Lizzy. So yeah, it's a great album. I'm gonna give this easily an 8.3 out of 10. I'm trying not to be a prisoner of the moment, and I don't know if I'm scoring it too high or too low. I could easily see this going higher. Killer artwork there, even killer artwork on the back. And I have listened to it 5 times at least. So I don't think I'm too much of a prisoner of the moment. Maybe if I'd only listened to it 3 times, but I've given it 5 solid listens. And I think if anything, I'm probably erring on the side of caution giving this an 8.3. So I have, and also I've already gone out and purchased their other 2 releases earlier today. So I'll be looking forward to those showing up. So yeah. Oh, and I forgot to give old Jeremy at Metal Music Meltdown a shout out. He's the one who reviewed this and turned me onto it. I had heard the name Bone Church, but never investigated. And he reviewed this CD, gave it good marks. So I was like, well, I'm gonna check it out because that sounds right up my alley, and it's right up my alley. Bone Church, Deliverance, 8.3 out of 10. You guys have a good one.